My name's Denise O'Reilly. I have a seed company on our, I'm fourth generation on the land out by Cher Hill area. So that's about an hour northwest of here. And we call the farm Hillendale Farms. My great-grandparents named it that. But the seed business is called Abanar. Abanar is Gaelic for the origin. And it just makes sense that food is from seed. Seed is the origin of all things. So I guess probably started about 20 years ago, saving my own seed. We lived in British Columbia at that time, so it was a bit easier to get seed off things because of the longer season. However, having come from here, my great-grandparents themselves were seed growers and seed keepers. And so my great-grandfather was the World Oat King in Chicago World Fair in 1962. So we come from, you know, a lot of seed savers. So since 1914, we've been on the land. I would have to say that it's a proud family tradition for us. At this time, it's just basically me and when I can get the kids to be involved. So a couple of years ago, I looked at the future and I'm going, oh, how do I scale up? How do I provide more seeds into the hands of more people? Because I believe that food security comes from seed security. If your seeds are coming from an outside source, if they're coming from a multinational corporation, for instance, and a lot of them do, and they continue to conglomerate into bigger and bigger corporations. A lot of the seeds that you get, if you grow in your garden, come from Denmark, and they come from Holland and the United States, and that's wonderful, but we live in Zone 2B. So, so my discovery into seeds and then dealt into heirlooms and open pollinated, that's what I specialize in. For all different kinds of things, grains, cereal crops, all kinds of vegetables for the garden, cantaloupes, watermelon. Yes, we can grow those things in Alberta. And it grew from there. So what I believe food security is seed security, and that's the stance that I take, and we all come from seed ourselves. We started as a little seed. So anyway, scaling up means how do we do that better? How do we do that bigger? And I come from an intensive operation in the sense that I'm trying to make more plantings on smaller land base. But it's just me. So to scale up, I got the idea that I would invite other people to help grow seed. Not only are you saving on your time scale, you're able to diversify, you're able to trial in various areas where somebody might be growing at an hour from you, and if you had a crop failure, then you haven't lost all the seed that you have. Also, the seed is getting exposed to a lot of different environmental conditions. So that seed becomes more resilient to climate change and all those kinds of things that we're faced with now. So that's my interest. I started that last year. I'm still working with that as a model and hoping that it builds in the future. So if you're interested, please, get a hold of me and we can talk about that. So how it works right now is I think I have 5 groups involved. They get some of my seeds to grow out, and that might take 1 or 2 years until they're comfortable growing that seed and having it available to either be sold again through the seed company, or maybe they're in a market garden situation where they can grow seed and then I'll take 50% and they'll take 50%, that kind of thing, or they can start their own seed business. There's lots of different models that we work with. I think seed saving and businesses involved in seed saving and distribution of seeds, there's no end to that market. If you're looking for a way to be productive on a small plot of land, that's the way to do it. It is a lot of work. You can do a market garden, and it's a lot of work too, but in my end of it, if I forget to harvest the beans, oh well, they're now making seed, and that's perfect. So, but it seems like you either have to do the one or the other, because seed saving is transplant to harvest, and that can be 11 months of the year. So it's a big commitment. This year I'm looking at doing a CSA in cooperation with a couple other families in the area that want to do that and to expand that. I think one of the basic areas that we're lacking is education on where food comes from, how it's grown. And I like to do education in my seed saving business. I do courses and teach people about saving their own seed, because that is about being secure within your own environment. But also on food and food where it comes from, how to grow it, how to save it, how to preserve it, how to make it nutritious food, how to make it as nutritionally impactful on your body as you can do. And it isn't all about nutrition, as we've heard many times. It's about the spiritual involvement of you and your food, which there's many scientific studies that show the interaction in the nutrition levels that people get out of the food that they're directly involved in as well. So in our CSA model, we hope to have the people that buy a share in the farms actually are involved in the food making process from start to finish, that it's as much their farm and their produce as it is what we're providing. So, well, I'm in the process of creating a new website. You can find us by going to abunarseeds.com.
Spell it.
ABUNADH seeds.com. Or you can find us currently, I haven't got that site up and running quite yet, so you can find, I did put, there are cards and info posters, postcards about the CSA and about the farm on the table next to the guy with the bio whatevers.
Right in here to the right.
Yeah, so you can pick up a card there. The other website is gardenofeden2010.wordpress.com. You can find me there if you have questions, if you know, I really like the idea of the community gardens starting up. I'm totally open to coming out and helping any community group that's interested in starting up a community garden to talk about plantings, what you can plant, what you can't, what are the best varieties for the area, all those kinds of things. I deal with heirlooms and open pollinated because I want you to be able to save the seed from that plant and then plant it the next year and have exactly the same thing. If you go with an F1 or an F2, it's a cross-pollinated plant, meaning that two parent varieties will come together to create that plant. It might be more vigorous, it might produce more produce. You may not get that plant the next year if you save the seed from that one. You may get one or two variations on that. So sometimes they say it's an F1 and it's actually an open pollinated seed, but that's part of that business. So having said that, one of my mandates on the farm is to keep the corn that we produce GMO free, and I'm able to do that because I'm at the end of a dead end road. My nearest grower is 1.5 miles away, and a mile down, well, 3/4 of a mile down the road, that's my mother. And I know what she's planting. And so I'm able to create open pollinated corn and keep the heirlooms free of GMO. So that's been my mandate for the last couple of years.
What's your question?
My question is, do you have a relationship with your food? Do you know where your food comes from? Do you know what's involved in growing your food? And is your food local or is it not? And what does that mean to you? That's my question. Thank you.